Okay, I had the opportunity to work with the City of Chicago in concert or in collaboration with Molly Wolitson, who's an extension climatologist with the Midwest Regional Climate Center and with Illinois Indiana Sea Grant program. The issues that we were addressed were focusing primarily on winter season impacts. What are the consequences having warmer winters, and how are the warmer winters likely to affect City of Chicago services, infrastructure, and public facilities? There was a second objective also, and that was the city's current climate action plan focuses primarily on climate mitigation. So therefore, it tends to measure its performance in terms of greenhouse gases averted. We didn't think that greenhouse gases were a very transparent measure in terms of public outreach. So one of the things we tried to do is develop alternate metrics that would perhaps be more understandable. For example, we took the future temperature changes and converted them into heating and cooling degree days, and then tried to translate it into dollars. So by mid-century, what we had estimated is that at current energy prices, average Chicago household would only save about $50 a year, actually, because although you have hotter summers, air conditioning is far more energy efficient than is space heating, even though you have shorter winters. So we're coming up with alternate metrics that you think would be more understandable. Molly and GLISA, Laura Briley in particular, gave us some data in terms of climate trend analyses. And as I mentioned, the indicators that we were developing were also done by Molly. I ended up interviewing a lot of people working with the city and with partnerships with the city. For example, the Chicago Park District and the Chicago Transit Authority, as well as city officials and the Chicago Public Schools. We got a broad view about how people were dealing with climate change and how they thought they would have to address issues of winter climate change. And out of that, I'm in the process of developing recommendations. We held a lot of interviews. As I mentioned, the project initially started under the aegis of the city's Department of Environment, and we kind of scoped out the project working closely with their climate staff. And then as soon as the project kicked off, the new mayor, Rahm Emanuel, abolished the Department of Environment. We ended up shifting to the city sustainability officer in the mayor's office, which has some strengths and weaknesses. The strength is in a top-down government structure like Chicago, we're able to engage the line agencies a lot more effectively. On the other hand, the sustainability officer wasn't as engaged with us in terms of formulating the scope of the project. The climate information we looked at, primarily temperature trends, winter precipitation, snowfall intensity. We thought freezing rain and ice storms I thought would be a significant issue. I was also very much interested in snow density. What are the consequences of having heavy, wet snow falls compared to current snow density? And I was also very much interested in freeze-thaw events, given its impacts on infrastructure and structures. So this is some of the stuff that Molly did in terms of looking at historical analyses. GLISA did the modeling projections for some of these data sets. There are a number of long-standing weather stations in and around the city that was used by the Midwest Regional Climate Center developing these types of information. Okay, what were the outcomes? Well, we looked historically at the 2009 National Climate Assessment that's now been precluded now in draft form by the current one. Most of the impacts they predicted for the Great Lakes region are largely irrelevant to Chicago. They figured there would be more lake effect storms with greater erosion, but Chicago's lakefront is all bulkheaded. There'd be less outdoor recreation if you were having a ski resort, you'd be impacted, but Chicago doesn't have any ski resorts there. And lastly, in terms of more lake effect storms affecting transportation, Lakeshore Drive is about the only major transport route within the lake effect zone. Most of the major expressways are further west outside of the lake effect zone. So What we figure would be the relevant winter impacts would be greater flood risks, particularly rain falling on frozen ground or on snow. There is a trend toward heavier intensity snowfalls, and more of those snowfalls will be in the form of heavy wet snow. So we figured that would result in more tree damage and by consequence more power outages as well. So we're looking at winter power outages as opposed to the summer power outages that were of greatest concern to the city of Chicago. We found that there are likely to be fewer ice storms and freezing rain events, but there has been some modeling done in Canada that suggests that freeze-thaw cycles may actually increase. And some of the models indicate that it may, in fact, at least in Ontario, double by mid-century. So the community, one of the communities they studied is same latitude as Chicago, currently has the same number of freeze-thaw events. So Chicago may be facing a lot more freeze-thaw. What are we going to recommend? Well, more indoor recreation. Chicago only has one indoor ice rink, for example, but Park District is already noticing that its outdoor recreation, outdoor skating rinks are being impaired by warmer winters. The city is a leader in green infrastructure use and green roof use. We think, given the fact that snow is often stored in detention basins or in rain gardens, that perhaps there has to be a larger margin of safety in dimensioning out the green infrastructure that the city is using. So maybe one of the recommendations coming out of this. And in terms of rain falling on snow or frozen ground, there's possibility of impaired infiltration and phytoremediation. And one of the things in terms of water pollution risks is that there's likely to be less peak loading in the spring as a result of snow melt because of consistent snow melt throughout the winter season. The freeze-thaw events going to bring a larger burden on road and building inspection. The city currently has a 5-year inspection cycle for its facade permits. It's also going to require more interagency coordination in terms of repaving roads in order to mitigate pothole impacts. We think there probably should be more restrictions on projections over public ways. In the winter, currently, almost every high-rise has a beware of falling ice sign on the sidewalk in front of it. That's likely to increase as you get more freeze-thaw. And lastly, we think Department of Public Health in particular should probably focus on winter blackout health risks, and that includes guidelines on which food, assuming the power goes out, which food is still safe to eat, refrigerator, and perhaps consider heating centers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marty.